But in any case, John Irving, when he was talking to a bunch of would-be writers one time, said that the first thing he does with a book is write the last line of that book. And I heard that and I just went, you know, like that. Because to me, that's kind of like spoiling the fun. I like to start with a little bit of an idea, you know. They come from different places. Sometimes they stick around and you want to do something. Sometimes they don't. But the idea is to start with something and just start to go with it, you know. And that's the joy of finding things out, of having characters that just sort of walk on and become a big part of the story. When I wrote The Green Mile, I had no idea where it was going. Thank you, thank you. I had no idea where that was going. I started with an idea about a guy who was in prison, and he was the snack guy who went around. He was a trustee, and he went around with a snack wagon, and he had a little tame mouse that rode on the cart. And of course, the mouse made it into the story, but the rest of it didn't. But little by little, it just sort of built itself up, and the way that the pieces came together at the end was terrific. I like that.
But how did the guy in pushing the cart down the prison hallway come to you? It just came and staring.
That was where it started, and those are the sort of the mysterious parts of it. Sometimes there's no way to say where things come from. I know that back around 1976 or 1977, I had a Honda 500 motorcycle, and it started to miss and jerk, and I didn't really know how to fix it. I messed around with it a little bit, and this guy said, well, there's a fellow about 7 miles up out in the woods who's really good with small engines, and he's got this unique way of doing business. He says what a thing's going to cost, and that's what it ends up costing you. So I thought that was a good idea. So I got on my motorcycle, and I drove out there to this guy's farm, and it really was out in East Japeepee. So I got out there, and there was a little tiny farmhouse, and there was this big barn, and I could hear him inside working with stuff. I got into the dooryard, and the motorcycle died on me. And out of this barn came the biggest goddamn St. Bernard dog you ever saw in your life. And he started to walk toward me, and I hear, and you know their eyes are sort of pussy. Have you ever noticed that about St. Bernards, particularly when it's warm? They kind of get this gluck coming out of them. And the guy who ran the place came out. He was wearing overalls, and he had an adjustable socket wrench on a ball thing. And he said, "Oh, that's Buster. He does that to everyone, but he loves people. He won't hurt you." So I reached down, which you should never do to a dog, to Buster, to show him what a good guy I was. And Buster just went down on his haunches. I mean, dog was 150, 160 pounds. He just went down, and he started to come up. And that guy brought that socket wrench down on him. It was like a rug beater hitting a rug. And the dog just shrank down, and there wasn't a word of apology. He just said, "Buster must not like your looks." And I'm like, well, I don't like his looks very much either. But that kind of stuck in my mind, and I thought to myself, well, I was on my motorcycle and unprotected, but what if? Because it's always a what if. That's kind of like the magic thing. What if the guy hadn't been here, and what if I was in a little car that stopped and it was hot? And that was sort of the genesis for Cujo.
You know, yeah.